Data helps people get comfortable with decisions, I would say, when it relates to real estate. Because if it was all about the money, then everybody would live in Montana based on the appreciation since 1991. Montana, over 600%, appreciation since 1991. One of the highest states, if not the highest state on this list. Oh, Utah also is over 600% appreciation.
Welcome back to 10 Tenths, where we coach real estate agents out of burnout into high-performing businesses that fuel their lives. I'm here with Matt Benelli again. Matt, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fantastic. How are you, sir?
I'm doing awesome, man. We're going to spend our entire podcast today talking about stats. It's going to be awesome. Love stats. Just focus on more stats. We're going to talk a little bit about the FHFA today. They got the new report out. Leaning into that, what we like to look at in there, what we find value for agents in it. So we're going to spend some time on that today. If you're new to our podcast, check it out for the first time. If you want to come to our app that we have online, just go to 10 Tenths. You can find it there. You can also find us online at 10tenths.co. We have all kinds of events and things you can check out, things we have going on internally in the app. Come and hang out with us. And if you want group coaching or one-on-one personal coaching, both Matt and I offer that to you. We'd love to help you out with your business and get you to where you want to go. And as we talk about, our number one focus is reducing burnout or even eliminating burnout for you in this business that can be all-consuming. So we'd love to have you there. Matt, we just spent an entire group call, for the most part, our group coaching call, talking about the FHFA, the house price index specifically that they put together, the power of it. And this is fun. I'm happy we're going to get a chance to talk about this today, because I've spent years, like since 2006, every quarter I have sat down, looked at this report, analyzed what's going on, what's happening, where we're going, what we're seeing. And it has always been fascinating to me. I always look forward to when the new numbers come out, because the marketplace, as I've always said, is like a cargo ship. It doesn't change fast. It's actually quite predictable when you start paying attention to it. But most of us look at this thing like once a year and go, whoa, look at this. It's like, well, yeah, you weren't looking at it enough. So I'm excited to talk about this with you today, man. Good morning.
Good. I'm excited to go into data. I love people who know me. I have an analytical brain. I like data points. At the same time, I want everybody to take this with a grain of salt, because there is data that's useful and there's data that is interesting. And this data is both. And I'll say that in a way of, data isn't necessarily going to drive the majority of decisions for the consumers with their real estate. It's just not, right? Because if people are trying to buy and sell their primary homes based on like, well, price is going up or price is going down, like, no, they're not doing that. That's what the stock market is there for people to buy high and sell low. Wait, we should do it the other way around, I think, right? But why does most people buy high and sell low?
Yeah.
Oh, because of emotions. That's a whole nother topic that we can get into. But when it comes to real estate, the data does create emotions, Garrett, because this is like our biggest asset. Like this whole structure, oh my gosh, if this loses value, what am I going to do, right? And so I think the reason why this data is important to pay attention to and look at is, most people buy a house, hold it for a period of time, and then re-enter the marketplace and go, oh my gosh, things have changed. Understanding this data so that you can communicate it to your people over time while they're holding that piece of real estate allows the reduction in sticker shock, so to speak, when they go and re-enter the marketplace. They have an idea of what's been happening over the years so that they're a little bit more comfortable with setting foot in that market and understanding the financial dynamics that they're going to be dealing with.
Well, and I think the importance of this type of information too is, a lot of times a blanket gets thrown over a market. And we'll take a market like California, and it's easy. Like when you first look at these numbers, you might look at California and go, oh, California's staying completely flat. It's actually 0.5 negative percent. So negative 0.5% is actually where California as a whole sits. And there are a lot of people, when they go to make a point, when they're talking about stats, when they're talking about what's happening in the marketplace, they'll go, oh, well, look what's happening over there in California right now. And if you happen to be living in San Francisco and you're like, oh my gosh, California is experiencing this negative 0.5 appreciation currently right now. Well, if you take a little bit deeper look at the numbers and you do a little bit more analysis of it, here you have San Francisco sitting at basically 8% appreciation. And you're going, well, wait, that doesn't make any sense. Like, what are you talking about here? California was flat, basically. Why are we sitting at 8%? And this is where, like, I think just knowing these numbers, taking a little time to educate yourself, Matt, gives you this chance to go, well, why? Like, what is going on here? What's happened? You don't have to look very far back to realize that San Francisco's had its butt handed to it for a while.
Yeah, well, what's fascinating about that is 1/4, 6%, trailing 12 months, 8%, trailing 5 years, 11%. So
Yes.
all the growth, like in the last 5 years, collectively, like just happened.
Yeah. And I think, Matt, this is where, like, taking the time to look at these numbers, we'll never use this data to be like, again, well, where should we buy and how should we buy and what are we doing? Like, there's other things you can look at to help you make decisions on this. I look at this information, and when I was a real estate agent, what I loved about it was it started some of the coolest conversations with my clients. When we got a chance to sit down at a dinner table, sit down, at anywhere, and go like, what's happening with the market right now? I could sit here and go, it's crazy. Now, if I was an agent in San Francisco, I'd be sitting down going like, we just had appreciation we haven't seen in 5 years or longer. And this is what's been happening. And this was again, 11% for the last 5 years. That's what we've been seeing. But in the last year, 8%. And all of a sudden, you get these great conversations. You get to be the expert. You know what's going on. And if I ever had to list my home, that's the person I want to turn to be like, so what should we be thinking about right now and what's going on? Because I guarantee you could go talk to most realtors in that marketplace. They're not going to have that knowledge. They're looking at very much surface level. I listed this house here. We had to price it. We had to do price reductions. That's what's happening with that home right now. Now we got this one over here. It's not selling. It's sitting there and sitting, but it's priced right. This is the surface level stuff that a lot of people are just kind of looking at. And it's just good to get some meat behind the scenes of what might be going on. I think the other thing, and again, I've been experimenting, Matt, a little bit of this, where I've been taking some of this data and throwing it into AI and going like, what's happening here? Like, what's going on? And I did get fascinated where it was talking about the ebb and flow from the coastal cities into the actual, heart of the United States, and how we can watch this happen over time as people will flood out to the seaside cities, and then they'll kind of flood back in. And we're watching this kind of push. We've been watching this kind of push back in, and you can see it in the map of the United States of where we're watching prices hold right now. We're watching where appreciation is happening. Illinois, Chicago, like all the way down through, Sioux City, Iowa. I've got a gentleman I coach there. I was talking to somebody in Wisconsin yesterday, and they're like, we're still seeing really good appreciation and multiple offers. And that was just yesterday. And it's good to kind of go, okay, this is what the trends are that we're watching happen right now. And at least be able to, again, as I said, have a good conversation about it.
Yeah. I mean, because if you're, and the other thing to think about here is data helps people get comfortable with decisions, I would say, when it relates to real estate. Because if it was all about the money, then everybody would live in Montana. Based on the appreciation since 1991. Montana, over 600%. Appreciation since 1991, one of the highest states, if not the highest state on this list. Oh, Utah also is over 600% appreciation. A place where a lot of people live. Let me pull up. Where's Pennsylvania? 277. Oh gosh, it would have been so much better to own real estate in Montana, right? And people don't buy real estate just for the appreciation aspect here. It's interesting to understand these numbers, but don't necessarily think that this is what's going to drive somebody's decision. It's going to help them get comfortable because they know that somebody is there who understands this component that can become complicated. Because Garrett, people read headlines. They'll hear stuff that we're saying here and be like, oh my gosh, Montana. I never thought of Montana being the place to invest in real estate. No, that's not what we just said. That is not what we said. And understanding the context of the data. So what I also want to highlight here too is looking at this report once, which by the way, we're talking about Federal Housing Finance Agency House Price Index. Go to fhfa.gov. And if you go to data and resources and you click House Price Index, you will find a bunch of links on that page for you that can take you to a variety of different things. The quarterly reports are the ones that Garrett and I like to look at because they're the most comprehensive. They update these numbers that we're talking about here on the quarterly basis. The monthly reports don't include this much detail.
Yep.
And if you look at it once, you're going to get a snapshot. If you look at it each quarter, you're going to have a better understanding of the trends in the markets that you're watching. And they even allow you to click into metro areas where you can see the trend lines for those areas, which is helpful to see because last quarter, the number one metro area was Allentown, PA, over 8% growth in the trailing year. Whoa, that's amazing. Well, this year it's way down the list at only 2% trailing 12-month growth.
Yep.
That's interesting. And negative first quarter growth. Fascinating how quickly that position can change just based on one quarter, Garrett.
And Matt, what you just said, I think, is that you got to find the information that you want to follow in here. And that's part of getting used to looking at all this data. So I have a couple places I go to. I do like looking at the top 5 states, the bottom 5 states in our state. I always do that. When I look at the metropolitan cities, I look at the top 5 metropolitan cities, the bottom metropolitan cities, and usually I find mine. And actually, what I kind of lean into the most is the top 20 and the bottom 20 metropolitan cities. I was looking at the report this time, and here's what's crazy. So in the top metropolitan cities in the United States, instantly caught my eye that San Francisco is sitting in number 2. What also got my attention was Oakland. And Oakland being at negative 4.39% appreciation, separated by the Bay Bridge. Very much, you could easily go, oh, the Bay Area is experiencing this marketplace right now. You're wrong. I guarantee you, if you make a prediction that just blankets the entire Bay Area marketplace of California, you will be wrong if you're putting a blanket over the top of it. And this is what's interesting, but it's also interesting to pay attention to it because when I look at this in a quarter from now, is Oakland going to be following the trend of chasing what San Francisco has been doing? Are there other factors there that's causing this to be, stagnant maybe right now over there? But you at least get to start to build a picture. And this is why I like looking at it as just like a snapshot. It's interesting. I can't really make any big decisions about it. I can't talk about it other than wow, look at this. But if I've been following this, and I have not been following San Francisco and Oakland, by the way, just not been what I've been paying attention to here. But if I had been following it, quarter after quarter after quarter, I guarantee you there's a story here. I guarantee you there's this trend that you could sit back and say, here's what's happening. If I lived in San Francisco right now, I would be following, San Francisco, Oakland. I would be pulling up San Jose would be another one on my list. I would be pulling up any of the major areas around it and just keeping a track record of it. If you wanted to even more, you could grab those cities and that information and throw it into AI and be like, what do I need to be paying attention to here right now? What's happening with these? And just start creating a project where every quarter you throw in those cities. What changes have I been seeing? What's going on here? What should I be paying attention to? It will give you so much great information extrapolated out of what you got going on here right now. And again, there's just, as you said, Matt, in the very beginning, got to kind of take it with a grain of salt, snapshots, things like that. If you choose to engage it at a higher level, you can easily become a very knowledgeable source for your clients out here right now, which people want comfort. At the end of the day right now, what I'm watching that's driving people to go to any particular agent is one that has low drama, low stress, somebody who has answers, somebody who can guide them. When you find those pieces, Matt, will you please help us with our real estate? Yes, you can do your presentation and all that, dude, but you're my agent. That's just how it's going to work. those relationships are winning out here right now. If there's stress, if you don't have the answers, if you don't seem knowledgeable, if you seem like you're all over the place and distracted with stuff, people are running from those agents right now.
Oh, yeah.
I have some of those agents going, I don't understand what's going on. And the more I analyze, I'm like, you are not a safe space at the moment. Like, become a safe
right
space
here,
for people.
this ain't working. Well,
right.
So looking at it's like, well, why do I need to understand the national numbers, Garrett? Well, this is helping you create conversations. People are interested in data, and this is an amazing conversation starter. Use it in your market impact reports to kind of give people an idea, because when people watch the news, they hear national numbers, they hear state numbers, they hear this versus that. And the more you look at this stuff, the more it helps you understand the data points behind the headlines, so that when you speak to your clients about the real estate market, you can migrate the conversation from here's what I heard on this headline to here's what the data shows to, well, what does this mean for you? What are you guys thinking, right? What's going on in your world? Because people move not because the market's going up or down. Let's just be honest. When's the last time you're like, ooh, I heard there's appreciation going on in Montana.
Do you imagine how disrupted your life would be if every single time you made a move was based on, I'm moving from Redding, California down to this city that I don't even know about, but if I do it right and I hold down there for just long enough, then I'm going to pick up and I'm going to move out to the desert and we're going to sit out there for a little bit and then we're going to move up here. What are you going to do with your kids and jobs and things like that? I don't know. We'll figure it out, but we are rolling the dice on appreciation.
Yeah, San Francisco's making a comeback. Let's move to San Francisco. Oh, wait, you know what? It's Allentown. Let's head over there. Wait, Chicago's the next spot. We're moving, right? Every quarter, you're just like, oh my gosh. All right.
Check in on them in about a year and they've got hives and they're like all like hair's falling out. And you're like, you okay, man?
Yeah. If you're just looking at where you want to park your money, it's going to be a lot better in just a total market index fund, right? I mean, ultimately, it's probably just going to be a lot more predictable and easier to manage in something like that. So use this to then create the conversations that allow you to explore at a deeper level. Because the other thing to think about when you're using FHFA data is it's old, right? It's already 2 months old at this point when we're talking about it, because it's data ending March Q1 and it's the end of May. So it's 2 months after the data points end, but this was just released because the data had to be analyzed.
Yep.
It gives you the introduction to having these conversations, which then allow you to explore at a deeper level. And by the way, Garrett, this is why I like using this information for market impact reports, because it allows you to have a conversation about what's going on in the market without zeroing in on this is what your home is worth today, because that gets into a very, very touchy subject that can create anchors, as we talked about on a prior podcast, that can then put you at a really tough position if all of a sudden that seller goes, or that homeowner says, ooh, well, maybe we should sell if we can get that price. It's like, wait, I didn't say you could get that number, but now I'm kind of, oh no.
Well, I think the other side of this too is we do have a lot of migration around the United States right now. We have a lot of people moving from different marketplaces. I was just talking to an agent in Arizona, and she's like, "Oh my gosh," she goes, "If we receive another California," and she goes, "I don't know what I'm going to do." And I stand strong as a Californian, and I get it. But what's interesting is like, so let's take two marketplaces here. We've got Austin, Round Rock area of Texas. So it's interesting. Not that long ago, Matt, Austin was like the top of the marketplace. Like when you look at who's having the best appreciation, go back to COVID time and they were crushing it. Now you look back for the last 5 years, total for 5 years, 7% appreciation over the last 5 years. So not anything you would write home about and be like, oh my gosh, they had a huge run up, but now they're sitting pretty flat. Then you look at the last year, negative 6.8% appreciation in the last year.
Yep.
Now let's just assume for a second that somebody is moving from the Austin area and they're picking up and moving to an area like Camden, New Jersey. Camden, New Jersey, you know,
Which is not a typical move. If anybody,
it's a total typical
Camden
move.
is not. Hey,
Matt, job
love Camden.
transfer, job transfer, got a job transfer
Love
up there.
Camden.
They're heading that direction. Families up there, who knows, but they're making moves. And by the way, vice versa, either direction that this move might be happening, you get a chance to come in here and look at the marketplace. What does our marketplace look like? What does it look like over the last 5 years? Where are they coming from? And what have they been seeing in the marketplace that they've been in? What have they been experiencing with real estate? Because up there in the last 5 years, they had 61% appreciation over the last 5 years. In their mind, they might be sitting in a home that they're like, this has been one of the best investments we've ever had. We bought it 5 years ago. We're now selling it. The kids are moving out. We're moving down to Texas, let's say. We're going to have be down in that marketplace. And they go down there and they are thinking they have a different marketplace because of where they've been living at. This is a great time to sit down and say, this is the marketplace you're coming from. This is the marketplace you're moving into. And again, it kind of grounds everybody into say, we need to help them understand this market. And when you've been in a marketplace, me sitting here in Reading, if I was not doing what I did today, Matt, if we weren't looking at this all the time, I look at the marketplace very much as like, what's the real estate market doing right now? I look at a national level. I don't think that we're all that much different because everybody does better when interest rates are lower. Everybody does better when we talk about the national appreciation of the United States at, what is it, 1.6% appreciation, the entire United States right now. I'm looking at what I hear on the news and I'm hearing stuff like that. I don't even know my local market, but to be that expert that says, here's where you're coming from, here's where you're moving to, here's the difference in what you're going to be expecting here. That's an important thing to know because it's going to change potentially. And again, we do need to get into our MLS. We need to get more narrowed down.
Sure.
You can't just go off this. But it's going to change my mindset of like, how are we making an offer here? I'm coming from an appreciating market. I'm entering into a depreciating marketplace. Offer strategies are very different. The offers that I just dealt with on my home with multiple offers up over here compared to where we're moving to, where all of a sudden, like, we're offering below market, we're not below, but below asking price. There is no maybe fight over this home right now. I don't know. This feels weird. Are we making a good purchase? Is this going to be, are we going to be okay in a year? You need more information to feel comfortable. And that's the beauty of being able to sit down with this and just help educate, help people get a sense of where they're at.
And seeing these differences encourages more questions. Why has Camden appreciated 4% in a year? What's going on in that area of the country? What is the job situation? What do the home prices look like? You know, because some of these, when you look at these areas and you see appreciation over here versus over here, maybe it is a price to affordability ratio that's going on. Using Austin as a wonderful example too is look at the history. People go, oh gosh, Austin's getting beat up so much. Yeah, well, you know what? Austin did pretty well for the last 30 years. Hey, remember that thing called the Great Recession? Yeah, Austin did not experience it as a housing market. Not at all. Okay, 2008, they were basically flat in appreciation. And every year after and year before that, it was all green. It was all growth, just going up and up and up. And then post-COVID, all of a sudden, they hit a peak in their marketplace where all of a sudden it just started going the other way. And there's a lot of different reasons that you can go and explore and understand and talk to the local agents there to find out what's happening. But there's a big freak out in Austin over the past 5 years among some people. That said, people are still moving there. People are still, buying and selling real estate there. Agents are still making money in that marketplace, and people aren't getting wiped out just because the market, quote unquote, values are declining, right? Because one thing to consider with any data point, moving market to market, like you said, Garrett, does create very unique perspectives. Staying in market, the moves don't really matter that much. Yes, your equity might be more useful if you have more of it to put in a down payment, if you have more of the money that you can then maybe take a little savings and transfer versus just transferring equity. Or maybe if you're slimmed out, like, oh, I can't really move because I don't have enough for the down payment that I want. But if you're staying in market, you're usually dealing with the same dynamics. So market goes up, you sell high, you buy high. Market goes down, you sell low, you buy low. And you move and you to get the advantage of the lifestyle that you wanted to have due to that move, whether it's a school district or just a downsize or an upsize or whatever it might be.
So this is where I want to also point out that if you're a real estate agent, which all of you listening to this are real estate agents looking at these numbers, I share these with people sometimes and they go, oh. And they look at it as like their marketplace maybe being down is like their business is going to be down that much. It's like, no, 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 no. This is not volume of properties moving through. This is not transactions happening. This is just what buyers are willing to pay for the property that's currently on the market right now. That's all it is. But you also have to go back and realize that this does not drive sales, just as you said, Matt. Sales are driven by life changes that are happening for people. That's it. That doesn't stop. There are sometimes that more life changes happen where a exodus of people might happen. San Francisco went through that. Even though those prices have been down for a long time in San Francisco, there's been lots of sales happening. There's been lots of people that are like, we got to go. And there's been lots of buyers coming in going, this is my chance to get a deal on a home in San Francisco. I've been wanting to live in this area for a long time. And they're coming in and buying it for a price that they never thought they'd be able to buy it for. At least they kind of gave up on it. And the sales are still happening. Yeah. And so it's really important. Don't look at these numbers and make a prediction also on your real estate success in that marketplace. Some of these marketplaces, when they're down, it's just the game has changed. The conversations need to change. The consultations that you're going to be sitting down and having with these people are just needing to adjust and change. And some of these transactions might be more difficult. You might be having to consult somebody on how much money can you bring to the table to get out of this. Maybe it's worth being foreclosed on because the amount of money you're going to have to bring to the table, if you're going to have to leave right now and get out of here, you may have to make a really tough decision. And these are these situations that you have at your fingertips. But you're just having conversations. You're educating your people. You're giving them, by the way, I do not support foreclosure. But I've been in marketplaces where that is the only viable option if you're going to be able to get out of a property. Because bringing $200,000 to the table, that's a real situation my friend faced. Bringing $200,000 to the table to pay off the property to be able to get out of it wasn't an option. It wasn't even there.
Yeah. And this is why you might find people staying in homes longer, right? Yep. Which has already been the trend. I mean, overall transaction volume, floored out going into 23. And people talked about, oh my gosh, is transaction volume going to pick up? Well, it's been 3 years and we're still sitting at about annualized 4 million existing home sales, right? Which at one point was in the mid fives, peaked at over 6 during COVID. And so transaction volume is down, and there's so many different dynamics that go into what's happening with a house price index, because you can actually have more transactions and prices go down, and people are like, well, how is that possible if you're selling more homes? Well, there's more supply as well, right? We only are showcasing the realized demand, but you can experience that situation. And so use this as the conversation starter. And then if you actually are helping somebody position their property, this gets into a whole different level of data with your MLS, looking at the velocity of the market and other factors that help them position for success versus pricing based on a house price index or, Johnny's down the street home that sold last year for X dollars. So I love looking at this data, Garrett, because it just creates a conversation. Look, we created a whole podcast about it. Because we get to look at some data.
Well, and I think, and again, talking about that blanket that can be thrown over the top of it, just to give everybody an idea right now, the highest appreciating city in the United States, this is, again, first quarter of this year, so we're already a couple months behind, but 10% appreciation in Elgin, Illinois. You take that number right there and you go down to Austin sitting at negative 6.88%. We have a marketplace right now that is, homeowners are experiencing very, very, very different dynamics out here. They're experiencing very different marketplaces that they're needing to buy and needing to sell in. And I would encourage you, this is all a story. You're looking for social media stuff you can put together and share out there about what's happening in the real estate world. There's great stories you can pull out of here and talk about what's going on real estate on national levels. Look at the cities. You can make incredible stories out of what we're seeing in these cities out here right now. There's so much great information, but never assume we're all the same. Never assume it's all looking the same, because this is one of those times that we're starting to watch the gap grow a little bit bigger here of where these cities are all lying.
And if you need evidence that will showcase that 1 year or 1 quarter isn't going to tell the whole story over time, take a look at the data since 1991. Elgin, 214% growth. Austin, even though they're at the bottom of the heap, 555% growth since 1991. So is 1 year going to make or break the long term? No, it's not. And it's not going to tell the whole story. And again, that doesn't make Austin better than any other place, because this index just started in 91. You know, if you go back even further, those numbers could be completely different.
Yep.
And everyone buys and sells at different times, and you cannot time the market. You cannot time the market, particularly when we're looking at so many other factors that go into why people buy and sell real estate that are going to influence the market. But understanding it and looking at it so that you can have these conversations is outrageously helpful for you showing up as an expert for your people, so that they have confidence that Garrett's the guy. Like, he knows what he's doing. He studies his trade. And that's what you want to have. If I'm hiring a professional, I want somebody who studies it, not just somebody who's like, yep, well, ChatGPT told me to do this. So
have I shown you my postcards? Look at my postcards. I know.
This is me at closing with the key from the title company and my client. People are like, oh, sorry, guys.
It's okay. If you do that, it's okay. But don't make that be what your value is.
Yeah. If you work with me, we get to take a cool closing photo. Gotcha. Well, guys, dive into this. If you have any questions about these reports, or you want to get involved in the discussion that we're having on these things, come check us out at the 11 Circle, because our whole goal there is to help people understand these things, because we want your business to fuel your life, not consume it, which is where a lot of real estate agents are now. And so come join us in the 11 Circle. We have these conversations so that you can leave with the confidence that you're building something that's actually going to support the lifestyle that you are shooting for, that you have a clear vision. It's one of the first things that we do with any of our one-on-one clients when they come in is we talk about, well, what is your vision? Like, where are you really trying to go, so that we can help you craft the business that supports that, instead of saying, yeah, just go do this. And then 10 years down the road, you're like, oh gosh, maybe I'm making money, but I've missed out on my entire life. So go check us out at 10tenths.co if that feels right to you, and go dive into some of this data. It's a lot of fun. Garrett, thanks for bringing this one to the table, man.
Yeah, man, I love this data. So have fun out there. Go check it out. And if you ever have any questions, you can reach out to us. We're here to help. Come check us out in our app. We'd love to have you. Thanks, everybody.
Take care, y'all.